Ba-ba-da-ba. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's video where we have the updated all Omicrons ranked in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes from the very best, the very worst. Before we embark on our journey, going over what has been updated since the last time we did this video in June 2024, I want to thank each and every one of you guys. In that last video, we probably got, what was it, Gary? 1 bajillion, trillion likes and quadrillions and trillions of views. Anyways, I appreciate you guys enjoying this series, and as always, there will be a link down below. The Ultimate Galaxy Hero spreadsheet, which I've been putting together, and we've been making some pretty substantial changes to how we're ranking Omicron. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of Java juice, and let's get the show on the road. So we got a couple things that we need to go over. The other day we did our all Zetas ranked, which you can find as well in this spreadsheet, and the card in the top right hand corner is going to take you to the video where we break down all the additions to the Zetas. But as a reminder as well, we have the Datacron ranking here, and we also have our team ranking, which is going to be getting updated shortly as well. It takes a bit of time to manually update all this stuff, so I appreciate your guys' patience. It is worth the wait. And on top of that, some of the categories will also have them fully baked out with the mods, Zetas, Omicron order, all that good stuff. But today, my friends, the focal point, the Omicrons itself. And as you can see, I went ahead and made a big substantial change from the last time we've been doing these Omicrons, where now we have a more, I'd say, clearer way of organizing Omicrons in this game, whereas before with just the image, it was kind of hard to see which sub-ability, and this is a lot easier because now I see the abilities of both the characters, the image of the characters, the image of the abilities, as well as being able to Control F, Command F, whatever you guys are using out there, the specific character or Omicron you're looking for. And if you see a parentheses with a 1, 2, 3, whatever it might be, just like Zetas, that means that is the order in which I would recommend applying the Omicrons. And we have them for every single category, from Grand Arena, Territories, Territory Battles, even some Conquest stuff, and I'm curious to talk about Padawan Ogun a bit more with you guys. So let's get down to business. Let's talk about the Kyber section. What is new? What changed? Did anything go up? Did anything go down? Well, let's get down to business and talk about Balin Skull first. Balin Skull's still a little bit newer to the game right now. We got through our first 3v3, and now we are well on our way into the 5v5 Grand Arena season. I'll tell you this, it takes a while to test these things because we don't get many opportunities to test Balin and other Omicrons in their specific categories, but I'm starting to like Balin Skull a lot more. He might not be the defensive powerhouse, but he is an offensive powerhouse, where the other day in Grand Arena, we were able to 3v5 a Master Kenobi team, which by the way had the Plo Koon Datacron, which is kind of a nutty one. So I'm becoming more and more impressed. Time will tell if it's the Datacron unit, but overall, the Omicrons on Balin Skull, It's All Inevitable is the first one I would apply, and then Balin Skull Power, such as you've never dreamed, is the second one I would apply as well. The leadership is going to be important to get this going, and of course, Balin Skull on his power, such as you never dreamed, it just completely wrecks the enemy. It has massive turret removal. Oh my god, it is a very satisfying AoE, you have to admit. Other new additions here: Ezra Bridger Exile. We're going to be putting Kanan's Legacy as the first Omicron I would recommend, and then Ezra Bridger Exile as the second one. The reason being here, Kanan's Legacy is huge. I mean, I like Ezra Bridger Exile outside of Grand Arena, but man, in Grand Arena, he is basically double timing how fast he can build up those stacks of Purgle Migration. And the faster he gets Purgle Migration, guess what? The faster your opponent is getting exiled. And the faster you can throw an exile on a Star Killer, anything else, it's basically an isolate. It shuts them down. Have fun with that. So that's why that's incredibly important. But exile's not too bad either, where this is going to allow Spectres and allies to gain mastery when they lose exile. Now, I think this can make a lot more of a difference once we get Galactic Legend of Ahsoka Tano, but this alone is going to make Ezra Bridger Exile a little bit more fun, a little bit crazier, because his mastery has tons of evasion, and he gets a little bit complicated to hit. It's kind of annoying, and he gives extra speed on top of that. Next up, we have Luthen Rail. I'm a big fan of Luthen. I think, am I really in the words? I think he is the best non-Omicron. Luthen Rail is great without Omicrons, but with the Omicrons, especially Dreams with Ghost, this just makes things even easier once you enter the Grand Arena hemisphere of the game. We're gonna have a few Omicrons to talk about Luthen, but at the very minimum, if you want to go above and beyond with Luthen, his Dreams of Ghost ability allows him and Rebel Fighter allies to gain 30% max health, mastery, extra speed, 50% bonus protection, and anytime the Rebel commander is defeated, he instantly summons another one and promotes them. He already beats a lot of Galactic Legends without the Omicrons, but this makes it so much easier. You're faster, you're stronger, you're way more durable. I'm a big fan of Luthen. He really brings the Rebel fighters, whether it's Saul or Mon Mothma, to the next level. Big, massive thumbs up from me. Just the other day, it was so easy to dunk on a Super Link. I was like, give me something more complicated to take down. And in terms of the Kyber Sex for Grand Arena, that is all that is new since the last time we made this video. But let's talk about Territory Wars. We got 3 new additions here, and let me tell you, there's some changes here. A couple things are going down in the list when it comes to Territory Wars. First and foremost, the big thing, the Great Mothers. As their name would suggest, they are great. Wow, great pun, Arnold. But the Great Mothers are even bonkier, even crazier when you get inside of Territory Wars. And I want to make this clear. This team is amazing without Omicron, and they don't really need a lot of Zeta investment to really get them to a high-performing level. But throw on Threads of Destiny first, and guess what? Things are going to get kind of nasty. On Threads of Destiny, Night Sister allies are going to get 30% defense, max health, extra speed. Great Mothers gain instant defeat immunity, and while Blessed Ally is active, doomed enemies have minus 30% defense and offense. Whenever doomed enemies defeated, all enemies are inflicted with fear. Kind of nuts, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced it. Right now, I would say Great Mothers, a lot of it's determined by the Datacron, of course, but Great Mothers are the focal point of Territory Wars. It's pretty insane that a marquee team, more powerful than a lot of stuff out there, but again, a lot of it's associated with the Datacron. The other Omicron that you have is To the Old Ways. I would recommend the second. They're both very so top tier Omicron, where in Territory Wars, whenever vulnerable enemies critically hit, Great Mothers and Blessed Allies are going to get turn meter, 5% turn meter, and then the first time any of their Night Sisters is reduced to 1% health, you start getting a lot of things that start triggering. So again, both solid Omicrons, easily Kyber tier, and as a reminder, this is a low Zeta investment Night Sister team, and the Omicrons are great on top of that. Not a legendary team, not a galactic legend team, and they're pretty much the focal point of the Territory Wars right now, even Grand Arena too, but you know, Datacrons are kind of crazy, what can I say? And the other thing that we have here, Shin, you have no power. Now, I'm gonna admit, I feel like this might be coming in a little too hot, but time will tell if it's gonna stay in this Kyber territory. I think it's a good thing if you're gonna be rocking mercenaries, especially if you have Balin Skull. I would recommend this to try to get some degree of that Grand Arena power pulled into territories. I would say though, if you did not have a Balin Skull, this one is something you do not need. It's very much so more of a Balin Skull type of thing. And then we move on to territory battles, where new to this list is going to be Marok's Masked. Now, here's my policy when it comes to just Omicrons in general. I believe a grand majority of your Omicron should go to Grand Arena. And then secondly, the next big batch should go towards territory battles. Then we're going to talk about Conquest Raids, Galactic Challenges. I recommend like a very small portion go to like 5, maybe 10%. For me personally, I only have one territory battle Omicron. I'm a big advocate of Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, Weight of the Galaxy course, but Marok, why is Marok in the Kyber tier? Well, if you are interested in investing inside of territory battle Omicrons, Marok first off makes the whole entire the Ninth Sister, the Ninth Sister Reva, not Ninth Sister, Reva, third sister. There are too many sisters, brothers, and cousins. I don't know what's going on in the Inquisitorius faction. But anyways, it makes the Reva special mission basically full auto. Tons and tons of damage. That's just being spewed out there. Damage over times are no longer a problem, which makes it so simple. But it's a helpful Omicron as well, even outside of that actual mission. So if you want to make your Inquisitors even better, it's a good deal. I'm a fan of it. I would say, okay, if you are interested in it, go for it. But I would still, again, I think Territories and Grand Arena are the much more important game modes to focus on. But, you know, it is fun. I'm not going to lie. It's fun. It's useful. And then, you know what? This one, I don't know. Let's talk about it. So if Territory Battles is even a smaller percentage of your Omicron investment, the Conquest Raids and Galactic Challenges are even a smaller segment of what you should be doing. Excluding raids for a moment, just looking at some of the weird Conquest and Galactic Challenge stuff that we have, I would say in the context of just these Omicrons, not the entirety of the game, it's a Kyber level Omicron. I've been hearing people sing praise about it. I don't recommend it because you can do all the stuff that the Omicron provides inside of Conquest already. You know, it takes a little bit more time, but I've never been like, oh man, I need the Padawan Obi-Wan Datacron. Or Omicron, I apologize. It's a time-saving mechanic, and that's all. However, if I start seeing a trend where we're moving away from all the feats that Padawan Padawan open includes, I'd be like, it's not worth it anymore. But we've seen a continual trend where basically there's always some weird debuffs and buffs that you're gonna need. And guess what? Padawan Obi-Wan's data, Omicron, so many crons in this game is a big deal in that situation. I've been tempted to do it just for fun, but again, it feels like a waste because I can already do the conquest challenges that are provided without the Omicron. But again, people say it's their favorite datacron, so I'll put it up higher. But again, other Omicrons are way more important in the game, I believe. And now we move down to the Rhodium tier of Omicrons. Let's start working from left to right again. Grand Arena, first we're focusing on. New to this list, we have Balin Skulls, Master and Apprentice. I mean, all the Omicrons are very helpful for Balin Skull. I might be splitting hairs. Someone could say, yeah, maybe that should be a Kyber tier. The point is, these are all very helpful Omicrons for Balin. With this unique ability, Master and Apprentice, we're going to be adding a lot of extra juice, extra beef, mustard, ketchup, whatever you want to talk about. With that unique ability, really messing with Soldier of Fortune more. So definitely would recommend if you just want to really get the most out of Balin. Yes, the other two are more important, but this is definitely the cherry on top. And yes, it even has the sprinkles and the chocolate syrup as well. So it's definitely not one of those like, yeah, you don't really need it. It's kind of nice to still have it, but the other ones are more important in my opinion. Also new to this list, we have Ezra Bridger Exile's third ability, Advanced. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was considering bringing this down a little bit because it is kind of, it's okay. It's all right. It's the other Omicrons are just way better on Ezra. More or less, the whole point of Daring Advance is to just get some extra damage out there. And if it's doing bonus damage based off max health on the enemy, that's kind of a big deal. And it also inflicts buff immunity, healing immunity, offense down, which can't be copied, dispelled, or resisted, and also reduce the ability again. So he's gonna be spamming this out quite a lot. I would recommend if there's only 2 Omicrons or even 1 Omicron, the other ones in the Kyber territory are gonna be a lot more beneficial. And then we have Luthen's other 2 Omicrons, Tools of My Enemy, which I recommend number 3, and then Luthen Rail's What Do I Sacrifice is the second one I would recommend. But again, I want to emphasize, Luthen Rail is amazing, even without any sort of extra Omicrons and whatnot. But even so, if you want to go above and beyond, these help out. For example, with What Do I Sacrifice, it allows them to give all the allies critical damage up, pushing out even more damage. Mon Moth and all rebel allies are going to get 30% offense, immune to terminator reduction until the end of the next turn, pumping out even more damage. You can have the target rebel fighter ally ignore. Very helpful stuff again, being able to get even more damage and take out the enemies you need to dismantle. And then we have the basic ability Tools of an Enemy, where during his turn he gains 25 speed until the end of the encounter, and then he's able to reduce the defense of the enemy by 30%. So the point of this ability right here is more when he's doing his turn, sometimes he's able to assist off himself, and he's able to trigger that ability while he's doing his other specials. I think the other ones are more important, but the whole point here, if you get Luthen more turns, that means he's gonna be doing a lot of other crazy abilities that he has in his kit. So it's mostly I'm interested in the turn, the speed ramping that he has. And also new to the list, we have all of our fun Ahsoka stuff. We have Morgan Elsbeth with Let None Pass. Now, generally, I'm more of a fan of unique ability things. She's only a 1 Omicron character, but Let None Pass, it just makes the storm attack just a little bit better for those great mothers. If you don't have the great mothers, Morgan Elsbeth really isn't all that snazzy out there. But nonetheless, if you're trying to make sure you make your great mothers as annoying as possible, it adds an extra layer of getting everyone to assist, and great mothers, their team, they pack a lot of heat. And then we have Night Troopers Inevitable End. The whole point of Inevitable End is, yes, he's getting extra max health, he's getting extra speed, immune to terminator reduction, all fine and dandy if there's an Imperial Remnant in the lead. He is spamming tons and tons of blight onto the enemy team, and the more blight you have, that means the more interesting things you can do with it. And as you remove terminator from characters with blight, they start taking a lot of damage, really setting up for an amazing play for Death Trooper Peridia, for example. So that's really the biggest thing, just really pushing it as much as possible. I think this thing is incredibly helpful. If you want to counter Jabba the Hutt, which I've had some decent success with, this Zeta and Omicron, I should say, kind of important. And then we're actually bumping up new for this list, Saw Gerrera's Freedom Isn't Free. As you know, I was a bit disappointed in Saw Gerrera when he first came out, and it was just like, okay, fine. But with Luthen Rail, now that you have ways of making both your Axis and the other Rebel Fighter members, the Curator bonuses that he has, he's able to bring Saw Gerrera up even more in power. So we're bringing Saw Gerrera to kind of match the power of Luthen Rail. If you have Luthen and you don't have Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera is going to be at home, and you want to get the most out of Saw. Territory Wars, we only have one new thing to the list, Padawan Sabine Wren, Sentinel of Lothal. This is, of course, very helpful for Bo-Katan Mandalore. She's got some Mandalorian stuff cooking, but I think we're going to see this become even more important once we get Galactic Legend of Ahsoka Tano, where this might go up the Kyber, but let's wait till Galactic Legend of Ahsoka comes out to really see what happens. But I have a feeling we're starting off here. We're going to probably move it up later on down the road. But we did move few things down. First and foremost, some people are going to hate me. Sign of Django. I had him in his dangerous reputation. You know, I had it in the leadership for a while in the Kyber territory, and I'm going to admit, kind of reluctantly. You know, I just felt like, yeah, he's got some uses, but I am seeing him being used less in the top-end Kyber world that or not even just Kyber, the top-end territory war, Gauntlet Guild, whatever you want to say. And also, when people get his shards through Proving Grounds, he's one of those guys that people just leave at level 1. His lead's fine. He can beat Lord Vader and some other things, but boy, we have a lot of things that can do the stuff he does, but probably even better. Knocking him down to Erodium for his lead, dangerous reputation. Feel free to go for it. We're also moving down Pago Lesser's Hive Tactics. I don't see too much at the end game, but I promise you this, I see tons of Pago Omicron early. Just mostly knocking it down, because remember, this spreadsheet is mostly looking at end game performance. If it's good at end game, it's good for everyone else. Just so I want to make sure you know what you're investing in and how good it is, you know, the longer you progress in Galaxy Earth. I'm actually, I'd say I'd rather have the Pago Omicron than Boba Fett Sign of Django. Let me put it that way. Territory battles again. I mean, gosh, if you are going to invest in territory battle Omicrons, it's basically, I would just recommend maybe investing in one of the few Kyber level ones. It's just, here's the thing about territory battles. Yes, we have Captain Enoch in here. It looks like fun. It looks, the problem with territory battles is the following. It's not the teams. It's how many teams do you have, right? That's the biggest issue, you know, that people face. And generally, I see that the team's base level power, it's fine. It gets the job done. That's really the biggest concern. But nonetheless, some people like the PV Omicrons, and that's fine. Enjoy the game the way you want it. I think Captain Enoch's Arbiter Decay, not just a fun thing outside of territory battles, but yes, it gets even more bonuses inside of territory battles. And I think the cool thing about this with Arbiter Decay, actually, I messed up. It's supposed to be Ominous Sentinel. Wrong word I threw in there. It's a unique ability. So that means we're stretching, but if there ever is going to be a Galactic Legend Thrawn, or maybe a Thrawn rework, touch-up, Omicron, and we presume he's going to take the helm for the Imperial Remnant, this is something that you could still use, even if Enoch Lead is not going to be used. And that's all we have for the Territory Battle new additions as well. When we get down to the Chromium tab, nothing new that's been added for the Grand Arena. However, some movement happening in territory. Added Death Trooper Peridia, just a little nibble. It's really fun. If you like your Imperial Remnants, I've been debating back and forth. I actually almost feel like maybe Death Trooper Peridia, just a little nibble, should be bumped up a little bit. The only thing that's kind of holding back, it's not like a super ultra transformative thing. It's a ton of fun with Imperial Remnants out there, and I've also been using a little bit with Great Mothers on top of that. So being able to basically have the siphon mechanic now for it, you know what? I've been having this debate with myself. I think I'm just gonna move it up because I am a fan of it. But is it as important as some of these other Omicrons? You know what? I'm just gonna put it up here for now, and you guys can let me know if you agree with me. I am a big fan of the Remnants. I think they're a ton of fun. They get work done. Let's go ahead, bump them up. I'm gonna throw them to Erodium. A little on the spot action here. There we go. Then we can move the rest of these people up, and away. Speaking of up, well, when there's an up, there's gonna be a down. I'm again kind of mimicking what I said for Boba Fett Sign of Django, moving the rest of his Omicrons down as well. Dual Barrage, Fett Legacy. Again, I think they're just better territory Omicrons to invest in, better territory war teams to invest in. Boba Fett Sign of Django, unfortunately, is basically the bottom tier conquest unit. It's just sad to say. Son of Saros also knocking her down. Fun Omicron, but I'm not seeing too much endgame action, but I do see some people in the early mid-game that want to build up to Dr. Afra. It's a fun Omicron, just not as impactful some of the Erodium and other things we have out there. Territory battles. Only thing I did differently here, I moved Carthonasia again. I don't think there's a reason to be diving this deep into the territory battle Omicrons, but I think it's better than some of the other stuff out there. At least makes Old Republic, you know, somewhat competitive inside of territory. But again, you likely have better teams. The problem is, I said earlier, the problem is a few things. Number one, how many teams do you have? That's number one. And number two, how many relics do you have in your team? I forgot to mention that. The relics is really the biggest challenge. You need the teams, of course, but you need the relics. It's not so much the team power I have issues with. If you don't have a Relic 9 Old Republic team, this Omicron's gonna do you no. So that's why I don't really recommend too many of these Omicrons. It's mostly relics are gonna be your biggest issue here. And then we have ourselves a few things going on in the Bronzium. We're basically more or less knocking down some of the territory Omicrons, Gamorrean Guard, Legacy of House Vizsla for Paz Vizsla. Yeah, it's just these aren't gonna solve the problem that is territory battles. The Mandalorians are already doing great. They don't need Paz Vizsla's Omicron. The Hutt Cartel doesn't need the Gamorrean Guard Omicron. Basically, Jabba for me, I've been able to full auto basically everything all the way through territorials, never lose any battles with him. I just don't think they're worth it. I just don't think so. And then we have basically the only things I want to remind you, please, never invest in the Inquisitor Omicrons unless they are Grand Inquisitor, please. What the biggest waste of all time. The only reason to invest in it is the flex, because not a lot of people are doing it, and I guess it's one way of trying to be unique in this game. And I guess the other thing to note is that, we have ourselves our raid Omicrons. I still pick a bone with this, but raid Omicrons drop off in value very quickly here. As you see, Bauschlia, Scout Trooper, with the Crate Dragon raid and the Endor raid being gone, they're not very useful. Keep in mind, Gungan Bombardier. It's great right now, but it's gonna fall down to the bottom the second the Boo raid goes away, which I'm guessing probably within the next 2-3 months, something like that. And that's gonna wrap it up for today, ladies and gentlemen. Gungan the Droid, that is your December 24, 2020, 2024, all Omicrons ranked from best to worst. Let me know your thoughts down below. One other thing I forgot to mention, this is not including Hu Yang or General Syndulla yet. Still a little too early. I want to wait until we get a little bit more of action with them. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Hope the new spreadsheet is helpful. Link down below as always. And as you're going to check out that link, hit that like button down below. Subscribe, comment, and more importantly, always remember how it's great to be in the Empire today.
It's great to be in the Empire.